Tom Cruise has pulled off some incredible stunts throughout his career, and he's always looking for a way to leave viewers of his movies in shock and awe. In fact, the 62-year-old star is so dedicated to upping the ante that he said one of his recent stunts took decades to perfect and pull off. Cruise is returning to the screens once again as Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, which premieres in theaters on May 23rd. So how did the actor, who has already drove a motorcycle off a cliff, one-up himself for his 8th outing as the character? The answer to that question is that Cruise pulled off a stunt that entailed holding onto the wing of an airplane while it was flying at speeds of nearly 150 miles per hour. During a Monday, May 19th, appearance on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, Cruise explained the years of dedicated work that went into pulling off such a daring stunt. He told Jimmy Fallon that they spent a year and a half specifically discussing the stunt. However, there was so much more background work that went into pulling it off. It took decades to figure it out, honestly, Cruise admitted. His latest daring feat was inspired by black and white footage of the very early days of wing walking, a high-stakes activity where people literally walk on the wings of a plane as it is in flight. I just thought, wow, I'd love to do that. I was a little kid, he recalled. When it was time to figure out stunts for The Final Reckoning, Cruise said that he and director Christopher McQuarrie wanted to do something in the air. Cruise, who is a pilot capable of flying everything from planes to helicopters, was thrilled by the idea. Then they got to work to pull it off. We chose the airplane, and I know how to fly that airplane and figure it out. And we just start seeing how can I get 0G between the wings and what can we do, he shared. Of course, the stunt presented some unexpected challenges that had to be overcome. For starters, there was dealing with the pressure that his body faced as the plane traveled at extremely high speeds. I don't know if you've ever had your hand outside a window going about 145 miles an hour, he said to laughter from the audience. Well, 60 miles an hour and then, multiply it. But feel the force of it. It was pretty intense, I've got to say. That led to the next problem to overcome. The fact that Cruise couldn't breathe properly due to all that pressure. So I had to figure out how you're taking the wind, and you're breathing down here like this, he said, illustrating some of the tricks that he implemented. In a behind-the-scenes clip, McQuarrie noted that the wind, which Cruise described as brutal, also made it impossible for them to communicate verbally while in flight. Instead, they had to use hand signals. Next, Cruise said that the engine would stop as the plane went upside down, presenting another problem to figure out. However, he wanted to push the limit to raise the stakes, saying, "Let's see how long we can hold that." We spent a lot of time figuring this stuff out, he added. He explained. It took decades to figure it out, honestly. I fly all these airplanes, and I've been creating and building different aerial stuff, even privately, and studying cameras and developing the technique and technology to be able to tell a story with aerials. Because if you look at Top Gun, American-made Fallout, that led into Top Gun, Maverick, and this leads into this aerial sequence. Cruise compared the sequence to the most intense weight workout you've ever had, asking, "Have you ever lifted a weight where you cannot? It's impossible to lift it again?" That's what it's like after a couple of minutes on that wing. For many actors, that stunt might be enough for them. However, Cruise is ready to get back into the air in a new and even more challenging way. "I can't wait. The next time we do an aerial sequence, I can't wait for that," he said, assuring Fallon 50 that he had more ideas that he wanted to pull off. For now, his latest and greatest stunt is a bit of a mystery for fans, even though they've seen brief clips of it. "We're not showing anyone the scene," he said, explaining that it was an incentive for people to head to theaters to see the full movie. While on The Tonight Show, Cruise also addressed an underwater sequence from the new movie, saying that it required the biggest water tanks in the world.